The movie begins in a chemistry lab on the outskirts of Han River, which is a major South Korean waterway. Against safety guidelines, two ignorant scientists dump over 200 bottles of formaldehyde into the lab's drain. Sadly, the drainage system is connected to the Han River and dumps the large formaldehyde deposits in the waterway. As a result, chaos ensues as multiple fishes are reported dead, while one surviving amphibian mutates into a vicious, blood-hungry monster. At the bank of the Han River, Gang-do, a local shop owner, runs his snack van with the help of his daughter, Hyun-so, and dad, Hee-bong. Hyun-so and her granddad watch TV indoors while Gang-do attends to the waiting customers. On his way to deliver their orders, Gang-do spots a group of bystanders staring at a mysterious monster from the shorelines. Within moments, the creature makes its way to the banks and goes on a fiery rampage. The mutant amphibian swiftly wreaks havoc on the area and attacks the nearby humans as they all take to their heels. Seeing the approaching monster, Gang-do quickly joins the crowd as he runs for dear life. The concerned father returns to his van to rescue his daughter and finds an oblivious Hyun-so standing outside, unaware of the monster's presence. Wasting no time, Gang-do grabs his daughter's hand and pulls her away from the approaching mutant. After running a few meters, the duo trips and falls hard on the floor. Sparing no time to look back, Gang-do merely reaches for his daughter's hand and pulls her along as he continues running. Within seconds, the worried dad looks back to check up on Hyun-so and soon realizes the girl he grabbed was actually a stranger's daughter and not his. Alarmed, he looks through the crowd and spots Hyun-so standing at a distance. Before he can even return to her, the monster appears and wraps his daughter in its tail as it leaps back into the Han River. Gang-do is horrified by this and helplessly watches as the mutant creature swims to the other side of the water and eats his daughter. Gang-do tries jumping into the river to go after them, but the monster swiftly enters the water and disappears from his line of sight. The following day, a mass funeral is held for the victims of the attack. Gang-do and Hee-bong mourn their deceased relative and are shortly after joined by his brother Nam-il and his sister Nam-ju, who happens to be a professional archer. Together, the group laments vehemently and makes a pact to take down the creature responsible for Hyun-so's death. About an hour later, the memorial grounds are swarmed by a squad of quarantine officers. The health officials explain the mutant creature that attacked the shoreline is suspected to be the host of a deadly unknown virus, and as such, everyone at the attack site is mandated to be quarantined to prevent the virus from spreading to the general public. Upon questioning by the health officials, Gang-do admits he had come in contact with some of the mutant's blood. In light of this information, the medics have him bagged in a hazard suit and rushed to a detention center alongside his family members. That night, Gang-do receives a call from an unknown number and on answering it, hears Hyun-so's voice asking for help. Right then, we discover that the missing daughter wasn't actually eaten by the mutant like we originally thought, but was instead carried in the monster's mouth to its home underground. Hyun-so tells her dad she's somewhere in the sewers but doesn't say much as the poor network connection soon disconnects the line. Gang-do quickly tells his family about the call and together, they all report the case to an officer in charge of the detention center. Sadly, their pleas fall on deaf ears as the authorities believe Gang-do hallucinated the call due to the traumatic event at the beach. The family insists Hyun-so is alive, but the officers and doctors dismiss their claims. Left with no other choice, Hee-bong calls up his friends to pick him up as the family forcefully breaks out of the detention center. They swiftly make their way to the facility's car park and enters their friend's van as they drive away from the pursuing officers. After escaping the quarantine area, the family gets some ammunition and a map of the city's sewers as they begin their search through the underground tunnels. After several hours of wandering through the sewers with no trace of Hyun-so, the family decides to take a break and finds a food pantry by the side of the road. Upon entry, they all have dinner together as they prepare to continue their search. Moments later, Hee-bong spots a strange figure through the pantry's window and upon inspection, discovers it to be the human-eating mutant. After alerting his family, Hee-bong grabs a rifle and fires multiple shots at the monster. Unfortunately, the shots barely deal any damage to the mutant and only draws its attention to their location. after which it charges toward them. The hefty monster easily capsizes the makeshift pantry and tries attacking the humans inside. However, Hee-bong retaliates by firing another shot at the mutant's face. This time, the creature is badly hurt and backs away from the pantry as it slumps to the ground. In an attempt to finish it off, Nam-il shoots the mutant again, but the sturdy creature narrowly dodges the bullet and runs off. The men swiftly chase after it, but have a hard time catching up as the mutant climbs a nearby bridge and swings away from its pursuers. Seeing this, the group sprints to the shorelines to set a trap for the creature. Upon reaching the shore, they all head in different directions as they scan the area for the mutant. Seconds later, the monster appears from the water and attacks Hee-bong. The old man aims his rifle at the approaching creature and pulls the trigger. However, he soon discovers that the gun is out of bullets and is ultimately left defenseless against the mutant. The hefty beast violently hits Hee-bong and slams his head on the road, thus instantly killing him. The rest of the family sees this and rushes to take down the creature. However, before they can reach it, the amphibian leaps into the river and disappears with the current. Gangdu heads towards his father's body but gets captured by the army and is taken to a quarantine zone for testing. Luckily, Nam-il and Nam-ju manage to get away, but eventually agree to split up to continue their search for Hyun-soo. Tired of aimlessly searching the sewer system, Nam-il contacts a close friend named Guevara to help trace the phone Hyun-soo used to call her dad. Guevara takes Nam-il to his workplace and excuses himself as he enters a secluded office. While he's away, Nam-il accesses one of the company's laptops and uses the device to trace the call tower that is closest to Hyun-soo's location. As soon as he learns this, Nam-il spots a group of men surrounding him from all directions. Seeing this, he realizes Guevara had betrayed him and intended to rat him out to the authorities to earn a bounty. Thinking on his feet, a witty Nam-il pulls a trick that short-circuits the building's entire electricity and light bulbs. Under the guise of darkness, Nam-il manages to escape from his pursuers and locks them inside the office. After leaving the building, the runaway fugitive runs to a nearby bridge and spots two police cars approaching from opposite directions. Afraid of being captured, Nam-il goes to the side of the bridge and jumps down as the officers swoop the area. During their search, one officer looks down from the bridge. However, a quick-witted Nam-il rolls out of sight to avoid being seen. Left tired and injured, the runaway fugitive sends coordinates of Hyun-soo's location to his sister so she can continue the search. Receiving his message, Nam-ju races to the aforementioned sewer and finds the mutant there. She calls Gangdu and informs him of the sewer's location, after which the skilled archer aims an arrow at the approaching monster. Before Nam-ju can release the shot, the mutant runs over her, knocking her into a tight underground space. The man-eating monster tries to grab Nam-ju's unconscious body, but eventually gives up as the space is too small for it to pass through. Meanwhile, over at the quarantine center, Gangdu tries to charge his way through the medics in an attempt to escape his detainers. Unfortunately, he doesn't make it far before he's tackled to the floor and injected with a sedative. Despite being tranquilized, an anxious Gangdu stays awake for several hours, much to the medic's surprise. Later that day, an American scientist is summoned to the detention center to assess Gangdu's unique case. During his examination, the foreign scientist reveals a shocking piece of information to Gangdu. It turns out that contrary to the Korean government's claims, there has actually been no verified case of a viral epidemic. All suspected victims of the virus had been tested and their results had shown an absence of any infection. Despite this revelation, the American scientist still believes Gangdu might be harboring the fictional virus and orders a brain-invasive surgery to be carried out on him. After the operation is completed, the medics still find no sign of the virus. While drawing a blood sample from the detained patient, Gangdu finally gets fed up with the endless tests and decides to take action. He swiftly snatches a syringe full of his blood and holds it up to a nurse's head as he takes her hostage. Scared that he'd potentially infect the nurse with a suspected virus, the medics and the guarding officers clear a path for him and ultimately let him go. Gangdu instantly gets in a nearby ambulance and speeds away from the center as he goes to continue his search for Hyun-soo. Nam-il finally recovers from his fall and meets a homeless man who volunteers to help him and his family on their mission. Together, the duo takes a cab to Hyun-so's location and on the way, makes a bunch of handmade Molotovs. Over at the sewers, Hyun-so finds another survivor in the mutant's lair, an 8-year-old boy named Seju. Together, the duo hides in a drain pipe out of sight of the monster. For days, the two kids stay in the pipe and patiently wait for a chance to escape the pit. One evening, while the mutant sleeps, the duo silently tries to escape the lair. Sadly, their plan fails as the mutant wakes up and swallows them whole. Moments later, Gangdu arrives at the monster's lair but discovers Hyun-so is missing. The concerned father spots the man-eating mutant leaving the area and instantly chases after it. The amphibian makes it to land and tries attacking an unsuspecting police officer. Luckily, its attack is unsuccessful as the authorities came well prepared. Using a gas emitter, they bombard the creature with a hazardous chemical known as Agent Yellow. The poisonous gas immediately stuns the mutant, hence making it vulnerable to the officer's gunshots. Gangdu soon arrives at the scene and stops the officer from shooting the monster as it could potentially kill the hostages in its belly. The concerned father rushes to the stunned monster and pulls Hyun-so alongside Seju from its mouth. Gangdu desperately tries to resuscitate Hyun-so but soon discovers his precious daughter is dead. Nam-il and Namju also arrive at the scene and cuddle their lifeless niece as they all mourn her death. Fueled by rage, the trio decides to kill the mutant monster once and for all. Gangdu grabs a metal pole and whacks the weakened creature with it. Overwhelmed by the poison's effects and Gangdu's attacks, the mutant takes to its heels and flees the scene. In an attempt to stop him, Nam-il hauls his makeshift Molotovs at the creature, but all his shots narrowly miss it. Shortly after, Nam-il's homeless friend from earlier arrives at the scene and attacks the monster from above. He pours a gallon of fuel on the creature's head, and seeing this, Nam-il decides to haul his last Molotov at the mutant. Sadly, the attack doesn't go smoothly as the weapon slips from his hand and trips to the floor. Wasting no time, Namju intervenes and uses the still-burning Molotov to set an arrow on fire. After doing this, she shoots the flamed weapon at the creature, which engulfs it in flames. The burning mutant tries to save itself by running to the river. However, before he can make it to the waterway, Gangdu blocks its path and uses the metal pole to impale its mouth, thus finally killing it for good. In the battle's aftermath, Gangdu discovers Seju is alive and takes him to a safe place. Weeks later, Gangdu fully adopts the young boy, and together, the duo lives alone in his food van. In the closing scene, the father and son enjoy dinner while a news reporter on TV announces the suspected viral epidemic was actually a hoax. Hence, the mutant saga is officially declared over as the entire country returns to their normal lives. And that's a wrap for this movie recap. Thank you for watching.